Welcome to Eye on America. I'm Michelle Miller. Today we meet Americans innovating industries and honoring traditions. We travel to Arizona to see how one airline is answering the soaring demand for pilots. And in Kentucky, we tour America's oldest whiskey distillery, operating for more than 200 years. But we begin in North Carolina, where revolutionary technology is making more heart transplants possible. In 2021, nearly 4,000 heart transplants were performed across the country. Our Dr. Jonathan LaPook takes a look at a medical breakthrough helping save more lives.
Come here.
It's moments like this that made Jason Banner decide to take a chance on a new method of heart transplantation.
I'm thankful for everything that is given me so far, and that's the gift of life.
The single father of two discovered in 2005 he had a genetic heart condition. He was hospitalized with an irregular heartbeat, which causes poor blood flow.
They were basically telling me my heart was ready to give out at any moment.
Banner was transferred to Duke University Hospital for treatment while he awaited a heart transplant. During 2022, almost 8,500 people were on the wait list, but fewer than half received hearts because there weren't enough donors. To increase his odds, Banner agreed to participate in a procedure called donation after circulatory death.
The use of this technology is the biggest thing to happen in heart transplants since heart transplants started.
Traditionally, a heart has been removed from a body and then put in a tray on ice. What's different about this?
The heart is connected to essentially a miniaturized heart-lung machine that actually pumps blood into the heart. And so not only does that allow it to recover, we can transport as far as we need to.
This new device expands the number of hearts available for transplant by increasing the distance the donor hearts can travel. Previously, hearts needed to be transplanted within approximately 4 hours.
You've successfully transplanted a heart that was on this machine for more than 9 hours.
We can go further and think about using hearts that are not going to be used that just because of distance alone.
Banner received a heart flown in from out of state.
This is a heart you would not have been able to get before.
Truth. It has given me the opportunity to be here for my family.
All because an organ donor gave him a second chance at life.
From life-saving to game-changing, a push for a shorter work week is gaining momentum. A recent CBS News review found some states are considering 4-day work week laws. Scott McFarland shows us how some lawmakers are encouraging companies to give it a try.
One fewer day each week of the alarm clock and the morning commute. John Byrne says once his software company in Baltimore instituted a 32-hour work week, the productivity of his 37 employees increased, and so did profits.
We've asked the employees to ruthlessly look at their work, get rid of extraneous meetings, extraneous phone calls, paperwork, things of this nature, and reduce down the amount of wasted work.
The COVID stay-at-home orders gave millions of workers their first taste of flexible work arrangements, and some employers discovered less can be more. A CBS News review finds at least a half dozen states to varying degrees are now considering legislation to make 4-day work weeks more common, including Maryland, where new legislation would offer companies that institute shorter work weeks a tax break. Maryland Delegate Vaughn Stewart is one of the bill's sponsors.
We're thinking that with more hours of rest, workers are going to be able to function better.
Employees in 4-day-a-week studies have reported less stress and less burnout and better physical health. New legislation in New York, California, and in the U.S. Congress would require companies that work employees more than 32 hours a week to pay overtime. Similar proposals have failed in the past. California's Chamber of Commerce called it a job killer not suited for all employers. Even supporters of the 4-day work week acknowledge it's not for everyone.
Absolutely. We don't think this is something that every single industry and every single business can do. But that's what we want to study.
Supporters of that Maryland legislation argue it should include a broad range of workers, white collars, blue collars, to include the entire spectrum of the workforce to make it more effective.
Coming up, how one company is saving an American institution, one hometown movie theater at a time. This is Eye on America. Welcome. Welcome back. The movie theater industry is adapting to survive in a digital streaming world. Nancy Chin meets some familiar faces behind one company on a mission to preserve and modernize the experience of small-town cinemas.
The 2001 film The Majestic captured both the magical allure of the movie theater and the uniquely communal experience of seeing a film on the big screen.
This television thing, why would you want to stay home and watch a little box? I mean, how could you call that entertainment alone in your living room? Where's the other people? Where's the audience? Where's the magic?
Cinemas, especially those in small towns, have long been part of the history in the local communities they serve, but their future is now in question. Already hard hit by the rise of streaming, theaters across the country were forced to close during the pandemic. Many never opened their doors again.
There's nothing like the cinema experience. There's not. I deeply believe in the power of movies.
We got to investigate, gather evidence, and provide proof.
Actor Patrick Wilson, whose films include the Conjuring series, says cinema has helped shape who we are.
We all have those moments in our life of going, I remember seeing Star Wars. I remember seeing Zorro in the 70s. Where you are in your life is very often defined by movies. I don't think that's going away.
Not if Wilson has anything to say about it. The performer is stepping into a far different role, from being in the movies to renovating the theaters that play them. When the cinema in Wilson's hometown of Montclair, New Jersey shut down, he and his neighbor came up with the idea to save the nation's small-town theaters.
We are thrilled to be back, once again sharing movies the way they are intended to be seen.
Their endeavor is called Cinema Lab.
I'm the Chief Experience Officer. I'm in charge of your experience here.
That's a big title.
It is. No, it is.
Do you put that on your resume?
No, not yet, but it will. I don't know if that's going to help me get acting jobs, but.
Cinema Lab takes over theaters that have closed or are about to and renovates them with state-of-the-art technology and comfortable seating.
Can I get a large lemonade, please? A large lemonade? Sure. Yeah.
They also add upgraded meals, alcoholic beverages, and special programming geared toward the community.
Is this what it takes to survive these days as a theater?
I think so. You've got to curate an audience that wants to go back to the theater, because there are certain demographics that aren't going back very much.
Since starting 2 years ago, the company has opened 2 theaters, with 3 more in the works. Their first in South Orange, New Jersey, just down the road from Wilson's hometown.
This is it?
This is it. Welcome to the Village at SoPac.
And this is the first Cinema Lab theater?
This is our flagship, as they say.
And as Chief Experience Officer, Wilson has been involved in every detail here, from the special events they host with actors like Tom Holland.
Hi everyone, thanks for coming today.
To the concessions themselves.
There's nothing like coming in and smelling the smell of popcorn. When
We got fantastic popcorn.
What was important for me is to find that balance between, look, you're coming to a movie, you want to indulge. So I had a hard pitch for the icy machine, and even some of my partners were like, what? Nobody buys ices. It's literally our biggest seller.
But even with change, there is still a nod to tradition, particularly at one of their current projects in New Canaan, Connecticut.
Original sign. So we're trying to keep as many original pieces as we can.
That's where we met Wilson's business partner, another rather familiar name, Luke Parker Bowles, who also happens to be the nephew of Queen Consort Camilla. He's also Wilson's neighbor and was equally distraught when their theater shut down.
All the kids used to hang out at the Bellevue in Montclair, and now my daughter hangs out at the CVS parking lot. And I thought that if that's a reflection of America today, that we've lost this center in so many towns, there's something we had to do about it. It was very, very clear.
A film producer whose credits include the beloved holiday rom-com Love Actually, Parker Bowles, the company's CEO, says his experiences back home have shaped his vision.
My partners and I want it to be more like a pub experience. If you can think of an English pub, you can go and get a drink, you can do Sunday Times crossword, or you go and see a movie. It doesn't matter.
It's a community center.
It's a community center, but with an elegance and a comfort level that makes it more than that.
That's the idea behind the New Canaan Playhouse, which opened in 1923. After closing during the pandemic, the Playhouse is set to reopen for its 100th anniversary, remodeled by CinemaLab.
And so this is, and you have to use your imagination, Nancy.
Just a little.
This is going to be our event space and our members club. My favorite bit is this beautiful bar that you can imagine right here, that you can look out from onto the 50-yard line of New Canaan. That is the center of town.
And now the company wants the CinemaLab community to grow as more towns across the country reach out.
What's been the most rewarding part about all of this for you?
Just seeing busyness in the lobby, just seeing people sit there, people hang out, people smiling, a desire to want to keep the art form vibrant. We're just starting, but if I can shape people's experience, then I've succeeded.
Let's go fly a kite.
Getting the curtain to rise again for a true Hollywood ending.
Soaring up through.
We now take to the skies to see how a pilot shortage is shaking up the airline industry. United is the only major U.S. carrier that operates a flight school, helping aspiring pilots soar. Chris Van Cleve has their story.
Ricky Foster's dream of becoming an airline pilot is really taking off after completing basic pilot training outside Phoenix.
I feel like an eagle up here.
We first met the former flight attendant and mother of two when she was among the 51 future flyers in the inaugural class of United's Aviate Academy. It's part of the airline's effort to address the continued pilot shortage and diversify a workforce that is overwhelmingly white and male.
Your graduating class looks nothing like a flight school anywhere else.
No, it looks nothing like the industry. But guess what it does look like? It does look like the demographic we serve. It looks like our passengers.
Airlines are hiring thousands of employees as travel demand has roared back from pandemic lows. Josh Azuha left his job as a Denver area police officer to attend Aviate.
The next step for me is to instruct here at the United Aviate Academy as a flight instructor and build my hours before ultimately, hopefully, transitioning to the airlines.
And there'll likely be a job waiting for him. United expects major U.S. carriers will need 10,000 new pilots, but only have about 6,600 qualified candidates. The cost and years of training to become an airline pilot discourages many people, despite a potential six-figure salary.
Basically, you either had to go through the military or you needed to have access to someone willing to give you $100,000 to $150,000.
CEO Scott Kirby says United is the first major U.S. carrier to start its own flight school.
They're still 4 to 5 years away from showing up for their first day in a United Airlines cockpit. But it is the right kind of long-term answer to not just solving the pilot shortage, but creating good careers for people and giving people access to careers that can be life-changing for them, their families, and their communities.
New pilot Ricky Foster hopes to swap this small plane for a United flight deck, landing her dream gig within the next few years.
Still ahead, the spirit of America's oldest whiskey distillery, making traditions. That story is next. We close our show with a story of celebrating the past while looking to the future. The Buffalo Trace Distillery in Kentucky is the country's oldest. It's been around for more than 2 centuries. Mark Strassman took a visit to learn about its rich history and to meet the popular tour guide who greets visitors from all around the world.
New Orleans has Bourbon Street, but this is Bourbon Heaven.
I would like to personally welcome you to the oldest continually operated distillery in the United States.
In Frankfort, Kentucky, tour guide Freddie Johnson's toasting the Buffalo Trace Distillery. Its 1775 distilling roots predate America itself.
This is Warehouse J.
Mark Brown, Buffalo Trace's president and CEO since 1997, finds whiskey drinkers to be famously passionate.
Whiskey fans will debate whiskey the way sports fans will debate their favorite players and teams.
Correct. The richness of the topic, I think, invites people in. There's just so much that you can talk about.
Maybe you don't know Jack Daniels about whiskey. Well, bourbon is a type of whiskey with a grain mash made of at least 51% corn. It's distilled, fermented, cooked, and aged in new charred oak barrels for up to 25 years, resting in warehouses like this one.
Barrels in a warehouse are just like real estate. Location, location, location.
It's a process, a collaboration between Mother Nature and Father Time. What's left after years of rest finally rolls out barrel after barrel, ready for the cork to be removed. I gave it a shot.
All right, now you got it.
Now I got it. I can work here.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Buffalo Trace produces 250,000 barrels of whiskey a year, including its own brand and other big names like Blanton's, Eagle Rare, Weller, and Pappy Van Winkle, which sells for thousands of dollars online. Delayed gratification rules here. Executives have to project their global market years in the future, even today.
What we're selling today, we made that decision in 2015 about what we were going to make. And today, we're making decisions about what we make for 2029.
It's challenging business that way.
It is challenging, yes. In '97, said we should make that much for 2005, and everybody was looking around in 2005 going, what idiot didn't make enough whiskey? You are looking at the culprit,
Yeah.
the responsible party.
Since opening its warehouses in 1811, Buffalo Trace has built its institutional knowledge one sip at a time. Even during Prohibition, it stayed open, legally, one of 4 distilleries allowed to make medicinal whiskey.
So there was us, 3 others, and Al Capone, supplying the nation with all the whiskey it needed.
Who pulled off what back then?
So there are a few questions on our history we decided not
to ask.
Not to ask,
Yes.
that being one of them.
The mixture that you see right here, that is a straight rye whiskey.
For more than a century, Johnson's family has shared their history with the distilleries. 3 generations of bourbon whisperers, starting with his grandfather, Jimmy Johnson Sr.
He was the first African American to be a warehouse manager of a major distillery. So I started playing around here when I'm 5 years old.
What was that like?
I was like Willy Wonka in a chocolate factory. Yeah, I remember getting into a lot of trouble. Yeah.
Shocking.
I really think they were worried more about the paperwork than they were about me as a kid, you know.
The distillery that you're visiting has the largest inventory of aged bourbons in the world.
Over the past few decades, Johnson's been keeping his family's traditions alive and has become the only tour guide ever inducted into the Kentucky Bourbon Hall of Fame. It's no wonder guests travel near and far to spend time with his whiskey wizard.
What is it you're hoping they walk away with?
I think one is an appreciation of how the product that they've come to enjoy gets created, and realizing as they walk away from here that they have changed, that their lives have actually been touched.
He's living proof of an old joke among whiskey lovers. Whatever the question, bourbon is the answer.
For more stories like these and live coverage of breaking news 24/7, stream us right here on CBS News. I'm Michelle Miller. Thank you for watching Eye on America.